Gets me as I have it set up and
There he is.
Oh, okay. Time is 7 o'clock, and I will call to order the City Council meeting for January 11th, 2016. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mrs. Keller? Here. Mr. DeGenova?
Here.
Mr. Rohr?
Here.
Mr. Hellinger?
Here.
Vice Mayor Schaefer?
Here.
Mayor Riggle?
Here. Item 2 is the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight's invocation will be by Mr. Schulman.
Right.
All please stand.
So when Mayor Riggle asked me to do an invocation tonight, I was honored. Being Jewish, this is a great opportunity for me to throw some Jewish flavor in our invocations. But with great privilege comes great responsibility. So when she asked me, I said yes, and then I started thinking, oh man, what am I going to do now? So I found an invocation performed by Rabbi Jonathan Sachs in front of the United States Senate. And it was notable to me for 3 reasons. 1, Rabbi Sachs is the chief rabbi in the UK. And I didn't even know the UK had a chief rabbi, so that was pretty cool. 2, that marked the first time a chief rabbi from the UK was invited to deliver an invocation prayer to guests in front of the United States Senate, so that was pretty cool. And 3rd, although I'm not a rabbi, I can now play one on TV by reading his invocation. Even though it was performed way back in 2011, I think it applies to what is going on in the world today. So I'm going to read it as he wrote it exactly, so you can replace Congress and nation for the city council and the city. All right, let's start. Sovereign of the universe, who created all in love, teach us to love all that is good and beautiful in this world. Teach us to honor the dignity of difference, recognizing that one who is not in our image is nonetheless in your image, never forgetting that the people not like us are still people like us. At this fateful moment in the human history, bless us that we may be a blessing to others. Guide the nations of the world to honor you by honoring one another, so that by reaching out in love, we may turn enemies into friends and become your family on earth as you are our parent in heaven. Beloved God, bless the members of this United States Congress and guide their deliberations, that they may govern this great nation with wisdom and justice, grace and compassion, bringing honor to your name and your blessing to humankind. Amen.
Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Schulman. That was very nice.
Thank you.
Item 4 is the approval of the motion summary of the regular meeting held December 14th as recorded and transcribed, and also the approval of the year-end meeting of council held December 21st, 2015 as recorded and transcribed. What is the wish of council?
Move to approve of both motion summaries. Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Schaefer, a second by Mr. DeGenova. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenova?
Yes.
Mr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Hellinger?
Abstain.
Vice Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes. Motion carries. And item 5 is the consent agenda. If the clerk will please read this into the record.
Item A, acceptance of the motion summary of the Civil Service Commission meeting held November 4th, 2015. Item B, acceptance of the motion summary of the Parking and Safety Committee meeting held November 16th, 2015. Item C, acceptance of the motion summary of the Public Works, Public Utilities Committee meeting held September 1st, 2015. Item D, resolution number 16-1, a resolution accepting the public improvements for Innovation Court. Item E, resolution number 16-2, a resolution accepting the public improvements for Curtis Farms Phase 3. Item F, resolution number 16-3, a resolution appointing and reappointing members to various boards, commissions, and/or committees and specifying the terms of the appointments, reappointments. Item G, resolution number 16-4, a resolution appointing members to the 2016 Charter Review Commission. Item H, resolution number 16-5, a resolution rescheduling the second regular meeting of City Council from December 26th to December 19th, 2016.
Thank you. And before we make a vote on it, just that number H, just realizing I didn't think anybody wanted to come in the day after Christmas. So we'll get it on the books now. We'll meet on the 19th, and that, because of the budget season, we just felt that was the best thing to do.
Yeah, I know that Dean just had a couple of comments, kind of caveats, if we're pushing the meeting back earlier, and you had mentioned the payroll issue.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that, and I understand that the timing of everything, but it does make it difficult, especially this year. I think the meeting was on the 21st, but next year being the 19th, our payroll, we have a payroll on the 20th. I don't even know what our pay levels are going to be through the remainder of the year. And sometimes it's difficult to project that out. So if council's okay, you may not get that final information, supplemental information till the 19th. I'll try to before that give you as much of it as I can, but it may be kind of like this year where you're using the ordinance the day of the meeting. And it'll probably be a bigger year-end supplemental than otherwise, because I'll have to kind of guess on some of it. I don't want to be under, but if that's okay, then that'll work.
Okay. Is it okay with everybody else?
Yep.
Okay. What is the wish of council on the consent agenda?
Move for the adoption of the consent agenda. Second.
Have a motion by Mr. DeGenova, a second by Mr. Schaefer. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenova?
Yes.
Mr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Hellinger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes, motion carries. Item 6 is time set aside for letters, petitions, or public comment for anything that is not on tonight's agenda. If anyone in the audience would like to come forward that is not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to committee reports. Mr. Jones?
I have none, Mayor.
Mrs. Keller?
I have none.
Mr. DeGenova?
I have none.
Mr. Rohr? Mr. Hellinger?
Nothing.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes, briefly, thank you. We got a additional parking and safety meeting to carry over some business in 2015 to do with the county courthouse parking, some of which will resolve, some will be tabled for the next meeting. And we took care of a minor neighborhood parking issue that's up there in Vance as well. I'm as close as I get without eating. That's all I have, thank you.
One thing I'd like to bring up to everyone is I want to schedule work sessions for the first Monday of every month, starting in February. But I've asked Tom if there's nothing that needs to be a work session, then we will not meet. So the staff isn't going to go looking for something. But if there's stuff pending, we need to start looking at that first Monday. So if you can all keep your first Mondays open for council meetings. And there is stuff on February's already. I know
What
you're.
time will the workshop start?
I'm flexible there. Do you want
I'm
6?
already not available the first Monday of February.
Neither's Kent, I know that. Do you want 6:30 or do you want to stick with 7? What's best for everybody? Okay.
Yeah.
What's best for?
6:30.
You want 6:30 or 7?
12 for me.
I prefer
You prefer earlier?
as opposed to later.
Doesn't anybody eat dinner?
I
No?
was going to say, earlier it starts to,
Is 6:30 too early or no, does 6:30 work for you? Chris is looking at his calendars.
It's fine.
6:30? Okay, let's plan for that. And then if you can all look at your calendars for March to set a date for the retreat. I know, George, you had a couple days in March that you were not available.
The first weekend is out.
Yeah, first weekend, and then my other conflict was the 19th.
Okay,
This will be the 12th or the 26th of March.
anybody care which day?
No, but
Okay, say it.
we need an agenda before we go into it, and I feel that way about the work sessions too,
Mhm.
that we don't need to just come in to talk about things. We
Right.
need to have a list of decisions that need to be made at the end of the meeting.
Right,
I can't do the 26th of March.
okay.
I'll be in New Orleans.
I'm out of town the 19th of March.
The 12th?
It's like the 12th. The 12th work for everybody?
As of now, I'm here on the 12th.
So mark the 12th. Let's nod our heads and
Yes,
we'll get a confirmation
Yes,
on
as of
12.
now.
Just block out the morning of the 12th, and it'll be transportation related, but we'll we'll get out information in advance.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have Michelle send something out tomorrow. Yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
And do you want to meet here or do you want to go elsewhere for the retreat?
We've asked Columbus State because that worked out pretty well last year, and that was a nice break from. We're just seeing if it's available. If it's not, we'll check someplace else, or we can always meet here.
Okay. All righty.
With regards to the work session, one last thing I'll say.
Yes.
I would say that if we are going to bring all the staff members in extra for a work session, we should have a really good reason to do that, and not if we're having a meeting where it'll end early and we can talk about something. Me personally, I would rather stay since everyone is already here, and it would be less cost to the city to just talk about something then than to come in on a whole other day. Just throwing that out there.
I think the first work session, you don't have to bring in
It's just really
two
the
staff.
yeah, it's the Troy Township request, to bring
Right.
planning staff and utility staff. A
That,
couple staff
yeah.
members.
so.
Yeah,
Yes, you may.
sorry to interrupt, but this is probably a good time to chime in. While we're on this subject of these work sessions, one thing we have to do at some point this year, especially since we have new members of council, is to do our ethics training. So I don't know if you would be amenable to using one of those sessions for that, because it always seems to get bumped off the retreat.
Yes.
While on the subject of that, you probably got something in the mail, but the financial disclosure statements should go out, and those are due on
Not till May.
May 16th. So it's never too early to start thinking about it. I just want to put that bug in your ear. But if I could get one of those agendas, I'd probably keep it to half an hour, and that'd be awesome.
Okay, thank you.
So we would add that ethics discussion on that February 1st.
It could be the first, or if you have a full docket, I'm flexible as to when to do it. That'd be a good time to do it so we don't take up council time and things like that.
All righty. And then at this time, I'd like to bring Sean Hughes forward and to give us an update on Bueller's.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. Happy New Year to all of you. Look forward to a great 2016. Didn't start out so well, I guess, with coming back and seeing that one of our grocery stores will be leaving here by the end of February. The restaurant will actually be closing on Sunday. But just wanted to touch base on some things that we've been doing since we found out about the closure last Monday. The first item of concern for all of us, I guess, is the employees, right? So we've taken several actions to work with others to try to help with those dislocated workers from Bueller's. The first thing we did immediately was, because there was no WARN notice that was required. Is everybody familiar with what a WARN notice is? They didn't meet the threshold in numbers to require a WARN notice. So we went ahead and notified the local and state jobs and family services to let them know what was going on. They had not found out that was happening. So we notified them, as well as all of our training and education partners, to let them know what was happening and be prepared for folks seeking assistance directly to them if that may happen, so they would be aware. I am meeting with Mayor Riggle, and I spoke about trying to organize an employee meeting, I guess, for lack of a better term, to do a little, I guess, intervention to talk about all the resources that might be available to a dislocated employee. And I'm meeting with George this coming Wednesday, the store manager, and to find out how we can go about doing that with all of the employees, so that we can get the folks from Jobs and Family Services, again, tolls, DACC, excuse me, Columbus State Community College, all the education training partners again, and any other types of resource providers in there to talk about things such as, resume writing, practice interviewing, things of that nature, to give these folks some ideas of what they can do from this point out, and that they do have support. I did find out in setting up that meeting with George that Bueller's is in fact going to be having some sort of work fair, job fair, and they're inviting in other grocery stores in the area to participate in this to perhaps recruit some of these employees with the idea that they'll work out the rest of their time there at Bueller's, and then once that store is closed, then they'll move over to the new store. So hopefully that takes care of a lot of them, right? So obviously the restaurant employees are going to be gone after Sunday. So those are a few of the things that we're doing right now to help on the employee front. We don't want those folks out there without support and lingering in the marketplace for an extended period of time. But fortunately, I think you're seeing help wanted signs everywhere, right? Everybody needs employees right now, and I feel very confident that these souls are going to find new places to work and be able to support their families and whatnot. So. Second big item, obviously, is the building. What do you do with 70,000 square foot big box building, in the middle of a neighborhood? You don't want that, obviously, to sit there vacant for an extended period of time. So we've already immediately started taking action on that front. In fact, before we even had our first meeting with the realtors that were put on the job, which was today, we started reaching out to potential users to try to get a head start. So the first thing we did is we actually spoke with the real estate people at Bueller's, the property managers, and talked about ways that we can divide up, if there's the potential for dividing up space in the building, so that we're not trying to fill one giant 70,000 square foot space, but we're trying to fill, divide it up and fill multiple retailers and or food related businesses in it. We've already had, over the course of the last year, several people who've been interested in opening restaurants and bakeries and things. Well, you have a full turnkey restaurant right there. I just toured the bakery today, and oh my gosh, I wish I had the bakery. It is one of the most phenomenal bakeries I think I've ever seen. I don't know how to bake. I don't know what I do in there, but it's gorgeous. So they were amenable to that, and they actually mentioned that to the two realtors I met with today. So they were prepared for that, and they've been thinking along those lines as well. Day afterwards, this was actually Lee's idea, so thank you, Lee. We contacted about 15 caterers and event center managers, made from scratch, companies like that, to see what interest was out there for event space. Again, knowing that there's a full kitchen, well, really, I guess, two full kitchens if you look at the bakery and the restaurant right there that are available for preparing food on site. I mean, if you looked at it this way, with 70,000 square foot, and I can't imagine anybody take up the whole thing for event center, but you could fit about 9 or 10, 400 person event venues in there. So again, I don't think that would happen, but we have had some interest returned from those cold calls. I'm actually speaking with somebody tomorrow, an owner of one of these facilities who would like to talk further about it. So that was a very positive thing. Thank you, Lee. We also reached out to, you saw the document I sent out yesterday in regards to leakage versus surplus in retail. And one of those areas that that study talked about was specialty foods, an area of opportunity for us. So with that being said, we reached out to Fresh Thyme, Fresh Market, Trader Joe's, Sprout, and several other specialty food retailers to see what kind of interest was out there in the Delaware market and spur some conversations. We only had a couple of those get back to us. And Fresh Market basically flat out said, we're not a major metro. They only build major metros. That's okay. Fresh Thyme said they really like our market. They will wait until their new Westerville store has about a year of experience to go back and see how Westerville's doing, and then they'll explore other Delaware County markets. But they did not rule out Delaware. But gosh, I hope it's not saying they're completely vacant for an entire year. let's see. We've contacted several others. Like I mentioned, we had a couple potential bakeries that we've been working with, restaurants. I had a local business owner who was considering starting a music venue. You know, maybe you could put a concert hall in, something of that nature. So all kinds of ideas. And actually, I sat down with the two NAI Ohio Equity realtors today, Anthony Marinitis and Chris Howard. And that's really what we did. What kind of marketing game plan do we have? How are we going to collaborate on marketing? Which is funny because, I mean, this is so recent. They haven't even developed their marketing collateral or their websites or anything of that nature yet. So we're already ahead of them. But, and then what are some ideas for different things that could go in the building? You know, bounce houses, you know, family entertainment venues, things of that nature. Maybe there's alternative uses beyond straight up strict retail. And again, with that being said, you know, it might be multiple entities using that entire space. We do need to get something going quickly, obviously, to make sure that Delaware County Bank continues to be happy being there. You know, they said they're going to stay there, but, you know, obviously if you're in an empty building for an extended period of time, you start raising questions. So we are, with that approach, we're being very active now.
Ace Hardware, they going to stay?
Yes, Ace Hardware, it will stay there. Even if they sell, the building is for sale or for lease. If they sell the building, they want to put in the contract, the sales contract, that they will get an extended contract, a lease contract with the Ace. Okay. Now, Ace is more than likely going to expand into the building and take even more space. That's not definite, and we don't know how much space if they go forward with that yet. There's no plans been drawn, but we do know that the florist was very, very, very well supported. It was a very successful florist. So they're going to keep it in there and move it into the Ace. So those employees will actually stay and they'll become Ace employees, which is still under the same parent company, but it's just a different franchise. So
Maybe someone should tell those florists, because yesterday I had one cry the blues to me because she doesn't have a job.
Oh,
yeah.
maybe they
She
didn't
doesn't know
communicate that
yet.
properly. There's been lots of miscommunication that we've come across, and I'm sure some of that's been with us too. So I'm just trying to report what I do know, and other things might come to light. So, yes, one of the things that the real estate company did ask is, you know, obviously, if you're trying to fill the building quickly, would you be willing to consider incentives for retail? So, well, that's something that would have to be discussed with my city manager and with council. You know, we've traditionally never offered incentives to retail, straight up, you know, CRAs and things like that. So that's really up to all of you. With a CRA, you can use it for retail. There's other types of incentives that can't be by law used for retail. So it's something to think about. But like I said, NAI is in process of developing marketing materials. They'll have a splash page website specifically for that building. And we're doing everything we can right now to get the word out there. They're already talking to a couple potential buyers who are just kind of kicking the tires right now. So,
Have you talked to Tangiers at all about, there might be I know they need 900 employees.
oh yeah, that is a good idea to talk to their project manager and let them know that there's some folks here. Because I think I had heard they're going to be starting job fairs probably early summer or something, in late spring. Because they'll 900,000 employees alone right there. Correct. Yeah, everybody's hiring right now, and that's a great thing, right? Considering 2 years ago we weren't saying that, or 3 years ago rather. So, yeah, you never want to see a store close, but it's no better time for that to happen.
I just think it was so important to reach out to these. I had a lady that's going to be 64 in a few months, and she said, I don't know how to apply online, and unless I can get a face-to-face, I'll never get a job. And that's what made me reach out to Sean and say, what can we do to help these people? So
yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, everybody hires off a website anymore, and you have to make sure your resume is in their database online. One of the things that Jobs and Family Service folks will do is they'll help them actually enter themselves into the, I don't know, if you've all ever been to the website, encourage you to go check it out. It's actually a very good website. It's called Ohio Means Jobs. And it's specifically for people looking for jobs and for employers. And it does lots of matchmaking, but it also has all sorts of training tools in it and career evaluations. I have these skill sets. What kind of jobs would be good for me? So they'll sit down with those folks and walk them through the whole process and help them get themselves entered and whatnot. So there's all sorts of tools and resources. You shouldn't feel like you're alone.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Any questions for Sean?
Did you want to mention just quickly the Buxton report? Because I know they all got a copy of that.
Oh, yes. I mean, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you saw there, I think this is a very, entry level, get your interest whetted type report. Obviously there's a lot more information out there. I actually talked to the NAI guys, and they're very familiar with Buxton. They work with Buxton a lot. They said actually most of the retailers that they work with are Buxton customers as well. So they said, it's probably not a bad idea to get a market analysis. They encouraged me to go find out what that would cost, and they may help. They may try to see if there's any way to assist in paying for something like that. So I'll talk to the Buxton folks and see what that type of market analysis would cost. They did offer at a work session or something that nature, but the Buxton folks did. To come to a work session and present their capabilities and whatnot to all of you if you were interested. So that's something to think about, is if you'd just like to have them come in and talk about what they do as a company and how they do the matchmaking and market analyses, they can do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And time is 7:27, so if Elaine will start reading item number 9, 10, and 11, that should take us to 7:30.
Ordinance number 15-118. An ordinance approving a conditional use permit allowing the placement of a PMU, Planned Mixed Use Overlay District, to be established on Howe Industrial Park on approximately 27.79 acres located at 320 London Road. Ordinance number 15-119. An ordinance approving a rezoning from M2 General Manufacturing District to M2 PMU General Manufacturing District with a planned mixed-use overlay district for Howe Industrial Park on approximately 27.79 acres located at 320 London Road.
Talk slow.
Ordinance number 15-120. An ordinance approving a preliminary development plan for Howe Industrial Park on approximately 27.79 acres, zoned M2 EMU General Manufacturing District with a planned mixed-use overlay district located at 320 London Road.
Thank you. Jump the gun, we're 2 minutes early. But Dave, you can start with your presentation. You just don't start the public hearing yet. How's
Okay, that sounds good. Madam Mayor, members of the council, I'm going to try not to talk quite that slowly, but this is, these three cases are to rezone the Howland Industrial Park, and John is here tonight, and I just say before I start, and he's here with his attorney, Andrew Wecker, that appreciate their help and assistance through this process. Particularly lately, but I think, John, for you and I, at least maybe the 10 years I've been here, we've been working on something for some time. So this is a good night, I think, for John, hopefully, and for us, pending your vote. But it has been a long time coming, and I think John's taken a piece of property here that was difficult and really turned it into something that is a benefit to our community and produces jobs and employment. We just talk about a site where maybe we won't have that anymore for hopefully a brief period of time, but this is a place of job and employment and different businesses that frankly does not fit any one particular zoning category. And so the idea here, working with John, was that we really needed to craft his own zoning text as a planned development overlay. You have the text in your packet. I'm not going to go through it, obviously. Hopefully you've had a chance to do that, but we'll give you a sense of how we overlaid that on this property, which is actually fairly big. It's close to 30 acres all told. Some of it's been sold off at this point, but about a 30-acre piece of property on London Road and Toledo Street. Both of those roads do provide access and now secondary access to the site, which is something that safety forces have been interested in for some time, so that's a positive development. Our comprehensive plan future land use map does call for heavy manufacturing on this site, which a lot of the uses are. The current zoning is M2 heavy manufacturing on this site. But a lot of the uses are that, but a lot of the uses really bridge into some light industrial and commercial uses, and will continue to do so pending your approval of this zone change. Here's an aerial photograph should we need it. You can obviously see where the existing facilities are and buildings, primarily in the middle of the site to the north of the old Springfield Branch Railroad tracks. Let's see, right in this location. This was a site of an old foundry, which John purchased and cleaned up. But that's why it looks the way it does on the aerial photograph. It's currently being used really in accordance with the zoning that is before you this evening. So what did we do? We decided that 4 sub-areas made sense in this particular development. Sub-area B would really be the existing uses, and that's reflected in the zoning text, bringing those into conformance and allowing for changeovers of the various tenants that happen. There could be a small expansion there in sub-area B as well, and we'll see that. You can see it in your packet. We'll see it in the next slide. Sub-area A is really provides a transition from that more residential area north of the railroad tracks into this heavier manufacturing and commercial use area. These would be fenced areas for parking and storage of semi-tractor trailers, as it is today, equipment and materials, and provides, again, that secondary access point from Toledo Street, which has really long been desired, I think, by us and by John. Sub-areas C and D provide for future expansion. You have a preliminary plan, as is the case with all of our planned mixed-use overlays. And sub-areas C and D provide for about 42,000 square feet of building potentially in C and about 58,000 square feet of building in sub-area D, and would allow the entrance to also be reconfigured a bit and provide a full campus-like area, if you will, for all of John's property. I know this is very hard to see even at this scale with our large TVs. Hopefully you can see it on your computers there and you've had a chance to look at it. I've changed the orientation on you. North is now to the left. London Road is to the right, but that's really the easiest way to see it. I can show it to you this way, but it's even harder to read. So this just gives you an idea, again, of the sub-areas in plan context where you can see the existing buildings, the potential small expansion of a building here in sub-area B, and then really future out-year potential expansions to the overall industrial park here in sub-areas C and D. One element I wanted to touch on with you specifically at the request of city manager was the bike path. We've had a series of agreements through the years as a city of Delaware with John related to this property, and one of the more recent ones was related to the extension of the bike path. It ends at approximately David Street, where you see the red line on the right end, right here, and then provides a connection from the Springfield branch to David Street. This is the old railroad right-of-way, which then we would utilize to extend the bike path to approximately this point. This zoning and this series of actions you take tonight would provide for an easement to get up to Todd Street, as well as set in motion a a payment by John to us that would help us offset the cost of making that extension so that we could really complete the bike path from where it ends today up to Todd Street. Once you're at Todd Street, you can use Columbus Avenue and Park Avenue to get into the greater pedestrian system and the bike path system, which really then begins back in earnest on Curtis Street. But this gets us over the difficulty of how do you get across the active railroad tracks and provides that connection to the north. The line on the north then is that this is the property that's been sold by John, is not part of this development. We originally conceived that it would be, but it's not anymore. They've reserved an easement approximately in this location of the red line, but an easement across this property so that he would assign over to us, assuming all this is approved tonight, that could allow for potential expansion of that bike path from Columbus to Toledo and then Toledo up to Park Avenue. So providing options. But I think that would help complete the pedestrian network and one of the goals of our 2010 bikeway plan. And I'm sure as we complete the revisions to the bikeway plan and bring them forward to you, this would be a goal too, to make sure that this connection happens so that you can go north of the Springfield branch. With that, your planning commission did recommend unanimous approval. There are several conditions. Staff recommends approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Again, John, Andrew, thank you very much for your time. We spent quite a lot of time over the last couple of months working through this text. As you can see, it's very detailed. So I appreciate your efforts. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Joplin?
Just for council's information regarding the bike path, in a more perfect world, if money were no object, we'd either go above those tracks, because you could get out to the YMCA and the community center within 10 or 15 minutes on bike, but you just can't, there's just no way to do that. So unfortunately, you'll be on the road, but with Park Avenue being rebuilt this year, we are going to dedicate some bike lanes on there. So that'll get you to Curtis to Firestone, and Firestone ultimately you can get over there. And once we get Boulder, if we get Boulder through, then we'll have that connection. So just one more link in getting connectivity up.
Well, I think it's important to remember, building on what Tom just said, that the railroad spur to the west is still an active railroad spur, provides railroad access to Optimum Plastics and other industrial development to the west. So yeah, you certainly don't want to, you couldn't put a bike path on top of it, obviously, like you can.
Would the applicant like to come forward and add anything?
For all these years.
After all these years?
Come on. It's your moment.
You know the drill. When you sit down, if you'll give me your name and address, please, for the record.
John Howell, 8871 Weiser Road, Waldo. The only thing I have to add is I'm just thankful to be here and we can get to the point of moving forward. It's been a long drawn out process, but I think actually the idea of making it 4 subdivision or sub-markets it really makes the best sense overall for the use. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have even recognized that being a better direction, but as we go through the years renting to the different types of companies, we begin to realize that there's kind of a wide spectrum of people showing up to lease, and they're not all industrial and they're not all commercial, and so this is a better plan than we would have had 10 years ago. So I could be happy to answer questions if there are any in particular, but we are full. We've been full for the past year. We're running a list of people waiting to get in. We'd really like to move forward and consider a new building. At this point, we're in a renovation right now of our final building, so the entire original 200,000 feet will be renovated and to code by April. So we're in that final step after 19 and a half years. So,
John, what do you envision off the front, off London Road, if you know, for your purposes, what type of new building?
Some of the tenants that we have need that exposure. I think a good example would be your local Goodyear dealer. Being along the road where people know where they are and see them, that's really important to their business. And I have some people like that in my facility. who are trying to teach their customers to come to the Howell Industrial Park and drive back in and not know where they're going, not know how to find them. It's really a difficulty for them. A lot of people don't care. You know, semis deliver product, they make something and they ship it. But for those folks that are quasi-retail, they need something where they can be seen from the road. So people just kind of automatically know where they are. So if we build out front, it would be something more of a, I don't want to say retail particularly, but glass fronts and more attractive, and a place for car parking out front. But in the rear of the building would be the garage doors and so forth, so that they could, if it's a tire shop or if it's a muffler shop or a transmission shop, a body shop, we have all those now, then they're just kind of lost back in the old buildings. So it's really quite difficult for their customers to find them. So that's what I envision for out along London Road. There are a number of customers that aren't particularly concerned about being seen. The countertop manufacturing guys, that sort of thing. Even though they're talking about the need for a showroom, and that again would be back on London Road, something more visibility for them.
Thanks.
Well, I, for one, would like to thank you for all the work that you've done there and cleaning it up. I mean, it just looks so much nicer than ever used to. And I have used the countertop. This was in my kitchen. I have used the transmission guys. They worked on my mug. So I find them. It takes me a while, but I appreciate everything you've done over the years. And I've seen you on that backhoe working 12 hours a day. So I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do you concur with all the conditions under the ordinances
Yes, I do.
to work with the city on those? And the second question, who has the BMW convertible for sale?
I do.
You do? Okay.
I have a
You
pickup,
trust it
so
being out there, right?
The BMW is available.
We'll talk later.
All right.
Yeah, we should have written that in the zoning.
Any other questions from council for the applicant? Okay, at this time, we'll open it up to the public.
No public here.
And seeing none, we'll close it to the public. What is the wish of council on ordinance 15-118?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules on ordinance 15-119, requiring 3 readings.
118.
Sorry, 118. Start
Second.
over. I'd like to
Second.
make a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings on ordinance number 15-118. Getting ahead of myself.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Keller, a second by Mr. DeGenova. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenova?
Yes.
Mr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Hellinger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion suspending the rules requiring 3 readings on ordinance number 15-119.
Well, you want to continue on the 118?
Wait, you want to adopt it first? Let's
First
go back to
adoption.
118 and let's
Sorry,
pass it.
I'm having all kinds of trouble.
I know.
I'm sorry.
You'll get it.
Do you want to make a motion for the adoption?
I'd like to make a motion for the adoption of ordinance number 15-118. Somebody else do 119, okay?
I'll take care of it. A second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Keller, a second by Mr. DeGenova. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
I don't know. Yes. Just teasing.
Mr. DeGenova?
Yes.
Mr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Hellinger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes. Motion carries.
Okay, I got it this time.
Okay.
Are you ready? I'd like to make a motion suspending the rules requiring 3 readings for ordinance 15-119.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Keller, a second by Mr. DeGenova. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenova?
Yes.
Mr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Hellinger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes.
Now I'd like to make a motion adopting ordinance 15-119.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Keller, second by Mr. DeGenova. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenova?
Yes.
Mr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Hellinger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes. Motion carries.
Suspend the requiring 3 readings on ordinance number 15-120.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Keller, second by Mr. DeGenova. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenova?
Yes.
Mr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Hellinger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 15-120.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Keller, second by Mr. DeGenova. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenova?
Yes.
Mr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Hellinger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes. Motion carries. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
Item 12 is the second reading of ordinance 15-121.
Oh,
Ordinance number 15-121. An ordinance authorizing the funding of the Panhandle Bridge water main construction to the Delaware County engineer as part of the Panhandle Bridge replacement project.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor and Council. This is the second reading of the ordinance authorizing the funding of the Panhandle Road Bridge. Delaware County will be replacing the bridge here in the next few months, start that construction. And as part of that construction, we have an agreement or pending agreement with Delaware County to install a new water main as part of that project from Route 23 over to Hudson Road. As we discussed, the water main will be attached underneath the bridge, a 12-inch water main, approximately 350 feet, establish Delaware City Water to existing customers that are currently served by Delco, and then establishing water service to the east side of the river to approximately Route 42 to establish that service area. The water main costs approximately $134,680. The funding for that project was appropriated and approved in the 2015 CIP. I can answer any additional questions you may have. You do see Delaware County did provide us with a rendering of the bridge. You see the top picture is a picture of the existing bridge. You're looking north to south along Route 23. And then a rendering, the bottom picture is a rendering of the new bridge that will be under construction. The new bridge approximately cost is a little over $4 million for that new bridge.
And you should know, just related to the work that our engineering department has been doing with the county engineer, someday if Merrick Parkway were to ever come all the way over to 23 as envisioned on our transportation master plan, that would line up with that bridge, and then ultimately be able to get all the way over to 36, 37. I mean, that becomes part of that bypass, but that's decades probably away. But thinking about it.
How wide will the bridge be?
I think I'm not sure, that's Delaware County, but I'm sure it's a little bit wider than what's existing.
I was kind of looking for it here, couldn't
Yeah.
come up with anything.
Yeah, I do have the estimate here from Delaware County.
How long was going to be the construction?
Construction, I believe it's about entire 2016, yes. I'm not sure, Mayor, how wide that bridge is
I
going
was
to
just
be.
curious.
Yeah.
I travel a lot. Any questions for Brad? Well, this is the second reading. Do you want to take a vote on it tonight?
Is there really a reason to take it to three readings?
No, unless there's some
Hoping for
issue
someone would
that
jump up
council
here.
has.
And so I'll make a motion to suspend the rules requiring three readings of ordinance 15-121.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Schaefer, a second by Mrs. Keller. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenova?
Yes.
Mr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Hellinger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes.
Move for the approval of ordinance 15-121.
Motion by Mr. Schaefer, second by Mrs. Keller. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenova?
Yes.
Mr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Hellinger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your work. Item 13 is the city manager's report.
Yeah, a couple of things. The state of the city, the mayor and I will be giving that presentation next Thursday to the Chamber's third Thursday luncheon. We'll provide you an advance copy of the presentation. It's pretty much PowerPoint update. A lot of it was covered in our budget message, but we'll be getting that out to you in advance of that luncheon. The Mount Carmel dedication for their health and wellness center. You should have gotten something from Michelle about that dedication. That's this Thursday.
There's another one. It's actually Saturday.
The Saturday's the open house. Is it?
Holly said something else, so she had the incorrect
Okay.
date, so she resent it out for Saturday.
Okay. The open house is Saturday. The dedication is actually Thursday, right?
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
think. Whatever, if you're interested, let Michelle know so they can RSVP. You can't, you know where it all is, you know where the big bridge is. So it's pretty exciting for our region to have more water, more opportunities for health and wellness. So we look forward to it being part of the committee meeting. I'm going to have Michelle reach out to the members tomorrow to find a suitable meeting date sometime probably later this month or early February. I have meetings with the superintendent of schools this week just to kind of catch up, talk about the year, as well as the superintendent of schools at the Olentangy schools. I'll be meeting with him, Mark Rett, I think it's Rafe, I think is his name. He and I have not had a chance to meet, so we'll be doing that. Do let me know if there's an interest in a joint meeting with either or both Olentangy and Delaware City. We've done that in the past, so please let me know about that. And I have, we've got a meeting with the BIA tomorrow, something that we've been discussing through Councilman Schaefer, and just questions the BIA has about the process. And we've got a meeting tomorrow. It's kind of a follow-up to something that was held last summer, and we'll be keeping you apprised of any developments that come out of that meeting. And I have a meeting tomorrow afternoon with the president of Methesco regarding the concept plan for the Dornoch Golf Club. That's coming before Planning Commission on the 20th. And obviously we have an interest in that because they're abutting property owners, and I will be meeting with him later tomorrow afternoon to discuss that project and some associated road improvements. So that's what I've got. Thank you.
Okay, council comments. Mr. Jones?
Madam Mayor, I think we skipped item 8.
Oh, we did.
Oh, we
That's
did.
because we did the
Because
update.
Sean talked right till 7:30. I
Yeah, that's important.
apologize.
Good catch, Chris.
Good job.
MVP.
So want to read item 8?
Resolution number 16-06, a resolution honoring the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay. I'm going to get back up to it. We just need. It's just a resolution. Anybody want to make a motion on that resolution?
This would be part of the Martin Luther King Day breakfast next Monday.
They just simply acknowledge that we passed a resolution in support of it.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution number 16-06.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Jones, a second by Mrs. Keller. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenova?
Yes.
Mr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Hellinger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Jones, did you have anything else?
I have nothing, Mayor.
Thank you. Mrs. Keller, do you have anything?
Yes.
Yes.
As much as I love to spend time with everyone,
Yes.
when we end a meeting at 5 minutes till 8, we're not quite ended yet. Why don't we do whatever we're going to talk about at our work session right now when we have light agendas so that we don't need to come back in? Just
Just a thought, huh?
just for future planning, because
We're
I'm
gonna
kind
go-
of disappointed I can't make it to the February 1st, but we could have talked about it tonight, 'cause it's almost 8 and we're just about done.
Someone told me there's a football game that a lot of people wanted to see tonight, so they wanted that to be done on time.
Tonight, we're supposed to meet,
I know.
and if it's a
I don't
football
know that-
game is the reason we're coming
No,
in on an
that's not
extra
why.
day, then I'm not available.
No, that's not it at all.
Okay.
I don't know that staff is ready for it. I mean, I know what it's going to be about, but I just don't know that they have everything completed.
But I think what your point is, in
I
advance, if we
understand.
know
If it
we're
could,
not having a long council meeting.
We could stay and do ethics if you really want to tonight.
Yeah.
Could probably whip something together real fast.
why don't you guys do it on February 1st when you're all going to be here? anyway?
Listen to you. No.
All right, that's all.
Mr. DeGenova?
On the ethics, can you get the forms for us, Darren?
I think they,
I know they do it online, but then I don't, I usually,
yeah, I don't know if
And
they
they have
even
a
have
phone
the
number.
forms in paper anymore, because I think I tried last year, it's all,
I got mine, they mailed them to me.
they mailed it to you, because I tried to get online and find the form, and they didn't, but it must be because they just mailed it out, so
They mail them, they'll mail them if you call that number, that 800 number.
they mailed it to
I
you.
didn't know where in the city, I know the city used to for
I think
years.
you can print them.
Yeah, I'll go to the website.
You can print them from the website.
That's what I do. I just download, fill it out.
I'll check the website then.
Okay.
If I
Yeah, if you have a
call her,
problem, call
she says
Michelle,
them
and
the
we'll
next
help
day.
you out.
The good thing with the website, though, is once you put your information in, if it didn't change the following year, you can just go in there and carry it over. You don't need to redo all that.
Okay,
So it might be worth putting it in.
okay, I'll check it out.
PDF.
Okay.
Mr. Roy, do you have anything tonight?
I have nothing other than I would concur with Mrs. Keller about staying late if it's.
Okay.
You know, just to throw out one more thing, because I know the ethics is what Councilwoman Keller really wants to see. In past years, I also, instead of an executive session, we did it at 6:30 before the meeting, and I'm open to doing any of those things. I just don't want it to slip away so we don't get to do it. And also probably wouldn't mind doing a public records one as well, just because I think we certify that we get training for that as well. We can
Right.
spread them out, so.
So you want to do two, or do you want to combine it into
I
one?
will do whatever works best for your schedule. If you want to break it up so you're listening to Darren time is minimal, or if you want to just get it all out of the way, I've got presentations ready I can whip together real fast, so.
Okay. Mr. Ellinger?
The only thing I have is, when I was in college, one of my fraternity brothers, a roommate of mine, was Roger Beeler. And he's one of the Beeler clan up there. And earlier this week, I sent Roger an email. We correspond by email on a fairly regular basis. And, expressed, kind of the community's sorrow for losing them. And, Roger came back and was saying how, this is probably one of the most difficult decisions that families ever had to make. And obviously, it's the first store they were going to close. And, as tough as it is on the employees, I think it was, equally as tough on that family, and that organization, that corporation to make that decision. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Mr. Schaefer?
Nothing, thank you.
Just to let you know, I'll be out of town January 21st through the 24th for a convention on the Ironman. So,
My question is, are you going to be here for the state of the
yes,
city?
yes, I'll fly out after that, fly out that afternoon. And then Ohio Wesleyan's Community Day is on January 23rd. And you're going to cover that, but if anybody else on council would like to go, that would be great. It's a way that Ohio Wesleyan welcomes the community. They have a lot of different booths set up, and it's just trying to show our partnership with them. So, and with that,
Yeah, it starts at 11, and then the women's game, it's all free. The women's game starts at 1, and the men's game starts at 3, and they play Denison. And then the Columbus Zoo will be there from 2 to 3, and there'll be exhibitions and things like that.
it's a nice event. And with that, I'll entertain a
Yep, just real quickly, your
You had
question
your
about
time.
the width of the bridge.
Okay.
It's a 64-foot width, there's two 27-foot travel lines, and there's a 12-foot shared use path.
Okay, thanks.
We're going back in.
Yes. Out of this session.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go back across the street. So make a motion to go into an executive session, I guess?
If you'd like to do that, yeah.
Do it that way. I'll make a motion, we go back into executive session.
Okay.
Second.
Do you want to do roll call or just all in favor?
Could you just call roll call real quick?
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenova?
Yes.
Mr. Rohr? Mr. Hellinger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Riggle?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
These
Oh my
amount of money you told,